Do you make the time to play? Play changes lives and it can change workplaces for the better. And today on Live with Laura, I'm joined by Kristi Herold, the founder and CEO of Jam, a multi-million-dollar global business that has connected millions of people through play since its inception. Amazing. Welcome, Kristi.
Hey, thanks for having me, Laura. I'm happy to be here and joining you today.
And I love that just before we went live, we were both talking about the fact that we're both living and working remotely right now. So how fun, both places where there's palm trees. So clearly,
Palm trees and scorpions. I went to bed last night and found 2 massive scorpions in my bedroom that I had to rescue and, evacuate from my room.
And I just complain about the mosquitoes. So I'm not going to bed with the scorpions in my bed. That is, I did find a big cockroach one day and we both froze, but yeah, scorpions, no, I haven't quite gotten there. That's quite the adventure.
Keeps it exciting.
Exactly, right? So there's so many things I think we could talk about. And I know you're the author of a book called It Pays to Play, which you've got written right there beside your name, How Play Improves Business Culture. And, I don't think a lot of people put those two things together, like play and workplace culture, or a lot of people keep their work life and their personal life separate. And I love this idea of integrating play into the workplace. So can you share a little bit about what this means to you and why you see it so important?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I'd like to put it right out there that I'm on a mission to let people know that we've been spelling workplace wrong for a very long time. Workplace should be spelled WORKPLAYCE, workplace. And
love it.
Integrating play into the workplace is incredibly powerful. Margaret Mead, who was born in 1901, is an incredible woman who was known for really pushing boundaries. She was a thought leader on things like race relations, nuclear arms, women's rights. And she's known for having said that it is utterly false and cruelly arbitrary to put all the play and learning into childhood, all the work into middle age, and all the regrets into old age. And so, like Margaret Mead, I believe that play should be going throughout our entire lives. And when we spend as much time in the workplace as we do, whether that's working remotely or working in an office or a combination of the two, it doesn't matter. We can integrate play and fun into work, which then makes it more engaging and exciting and playful, and it's a place that we want to be when we are having fun. And so many studies have shown that when we have friends in the workplace, we're less likely to be looking for jobs elsewhere. We are more engaged with the work we do. Profitability of companies, they've done studies that show when we report having friends in the workplace, the profitability of companies that have employees that feel that way is much higher than companies that don't. And so it's a powerful thing. And what's the easiest way to make friends? Have a little playtime with them. And I think a lot of people, the word play can be very, acrimonious perhaps, or maybe that's not the word. It can trigger some people. Well, we can't play, we've got work to do. And what I'm trying to teach people and coach, with the coaching we're starting to do now on workplace culture, is that you can actually find ways to integrate play into your work. So the work is getting done while you're having some laughs, while you're having some fun, while you're celebrating and recognizing great work being done. There's loads of ways to integrate play at work.
I love that. And I think it's so true. I really believe that, especially for entrepreneurs, I'm like, if you're not, you might as well be having fun doing what you're doing. If you're going to choose the path of, entrepreneurship, you might as well be having fun. And I believe in that. And fun is one of the words that I live by. And so is adventure, which is also why I'm living in Sicily right now. But to me, this idea of fun and play, you're right. Like, why is that just for kids? And why is this now? It's this grind, and it sort of sets up these expectations. And yet I found that, when I'm off, traveling or exploring or having adventure Fridays with my family and playing and having that fun, my business can still thrive. because I'm thriving. I don't need to be
Absolutely.
sitting at my desk for my
Yeah.
business to thrive. In fact, I need that time away. We all do.
Yeah. But and while you're at your desk, you can actually be having fun too. And that's,
Yeah.
I think it's, so this is where the messaging I'm trying to get across is, we can have fun while we're working, and we can take little mini recess breaks, mini vacations from our desk to have some playful fun with our coworkers. Um, just like we did in school, we used to go outside for recess, and you'd come back in and you'd feel re-energized. So, you walk into my office at 3 o'clock, you might walk into the middle of an around the world ping pong game going on where there's 15, 20 people playing a game of ping pong all together. It literally is 5 minutes. There's laughter being had, there's engagement, there's trash talking going on, and then it ends and people go back to their desks and they've had a little mini recess break. It costs nothing. The boost, the morale, the energy, it's incredibly powerful. But the piece that I think a lot of people get hung up on is, well, no, we got work to do. Like, we have to stay focused. We've got these meetings. Well, we have a daily huddle. It's a 7-minute daily huddle every single day. It's at 1 o'clock because I have employees who are living in Paris. I have employees in Cyprus. I have
Right.
people in Calgary and Vancouver, crossing a lot of time zones. So we try and pick a time every day that everyone can kind of make it. It's 1 o'clock, 7 minutes, exact same agenda every day. But what we do a little differently, every day is a different huddle leader. Every single person in the organization, from C-suite to new junior intern, takes a turn leading huddle. And so you get to know people as leaders. They get a chance to be on the spotlight, present, great skills happen. And every huddle always starts with good news. You have to start with good news. And the leader knows it's on them. They have to start with their own piece of good news. And it can be a personal work or a work win. So that's like 30 seconds of just a positive. And then they call out, does anyone else have good news? Again, personal work wins. At the end of huddle, there's always a tight agenda of things we cover, key metrics, updates from certain departments. Every day is a different departmental update. Anyone asking for a helping hand, anyone need help with anything. But then huddle ends always with leader's choice. And leader's choice is a little bit different every day because you don't know whoever the leader is. Some days you get really bad dad jokes being told by the leader. Other days, the leader might encourage you to get outside and go for a 15-minute walk. One of my favorites, I remember the leader's choice was Marvin said to us, I want to encourage everyone to reach out and call someone you haven't spoken to in a year. And I was like, oh, wow. That's good. Like it just got me thinking, and I did it. And you don't have to do what the leader's choice is, but I did it, and it felt really great to reach out to someone. And it was just a playful way to, stay engaged while we're getting important work done. So we have a shout out channel on our Microsoft Teams chat. If you've got a Slack channel or Microsoft Teams chats, we have a shout out channel that is going off all day long. People are shouting out great work being done by their teammates. So I might see something, I don't work with everyone closely every single day, but I'm getting to see highlight reels of the great work being done by people shouting out and celebrating. It's a really playful, fun way. We're still getting the work done, but we're having fun with it, and we're recognizing people, and that feels good. And you're getting to know people as humans, as people, as friends, and that makes for a more engaging workplace culture.
Absolutely. We have, we start every weekly meeting. We have multiple through the week, but we have one sort of main kind of team to kind of download on things. And the first sort of, 5-10 minutes is just sort of kind of that catching up, because we are remote. And so that I'll ask you a bit about that, engaging with remote teams. But we start with wins and caught being awesome. So if you've caught being awesome.
Oh, that's great.
So, we all can share wins, but if you notice that somebody else did something awesome, then it's like your shout out.
The shout out channel.
It's our version of a shout out. And we do have a wins channel in our Slack as well, just for those kinds of in between, because we are all working remotely, and to kind of stay on top of that and to celebrate that. And so you're not just keeping it to yourself or saving it all of everything till the next meeting either.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wonderful, and it's a really nice way. I think gratitude has been proven to. It's nice to receive gratitude, right? It's like you're giving a gift to someone when you give them gratitude, but it actually has also been proven that the person who gives the gratitude, it's doing good for them too. So that's a really feel good, positive way, and it can be done. It's playful.
Yeah.
And that's just, it costs nothing, right? Costs nothing. People could set that up in 5 minutes. Costs
Yeah.
nothing, and the ROI on that is powerful. And that's where I'm coming from with the whole it pays to play. There really is a massive return on investment. I mean, retention. Let's talk about retention for a second.
Yeah,
It's
please.
turnover is a real problem, right? The Great Resignation that happened during the pandemic was problematic. Well, guess what? Turnover has actually increased by 20% since the Great Resignation. Like it's not improving, it's worsening.
It's not getting better.
And no, and when it costs 1.5 to 2 times someone's salary to replace them because of the time that the turnover is incredibly expensive. So you think about, if you've got a company of 100 people and you've got an average salary of, I don't know, $60,000-$70,000, and it's 1.5 to 2 times their salary, and you've got 20% turnover happening. Like that's a lot. That's millions of dollars going out the window every year. If you invest, I don't know, like $200 per person on your team, call it $200,000 a year as on your budget for play, you would be saving the retention. The cost of your retention would come down drastically. Like the investment in that pays off because you're investing in creating a more cohesive, connected, friendlier team who are then more engaged in the work they're doing. They're more energized. They're more creative. When we have friends at work, we're more willing to be vulnerable and put ourselves out there in front of, like, we'll throw more creative ideas out because we're not afraid of being scoffed at in front of our friends. When we have friends at work, we're more willing to offer help to our teammates, to say, hey, you look like you're stressed. Can I help you? If you're not friends with someone, you're probably not going to do that, right? You get integration happening between teams. When we have a lot of clients who will engage with us for monthly virtual events to help with the remote work. They do it instead of a lunch and learn, they do a lunch and laugh once a month. Every month they show up, they get the link, and they get the link, and they just go to the link once a month for a lunch and laugh. They don't have to do anything except show up. And when they get there, they get put on different teams with, the teams are integrated. So you maybe have someone from marketing is on a team with someone from finance, is on a team with someone from HR, competing against different teams. They start trash talking, they have some laughs, they're maybe doing an escape room or a game show or a scavenger hunt. I mean, there's loads of different virtual games that we've created that get people laughing and connecting. And then what happens is bonds form between teammates who wouldn't otherwise work together, which is incredibly powerful, because then they're not afraid to ask for help, or they're not intimidated by someone, because they actually just did an escape room with them a month ago and they had some laughs with them and they got to know them as just people, right? And it's not expensive to take the time to do that. You don't have to get on an airplane to meet and have these connections form. It can be done virtually and over lunch, so many different ways to play.
So, like, how do you see things now with remote work or hybrid work? Are you finding that it's more challenging, or like, you just mentioned kind of this once a month lunch and laugh. What are other ways that teams, big or small, could find ways to play together, even if they're not in the same cities?
Great question. So lunch and laughs are fantastic, and there's loads of ways to do lunch and laugh. So we did a lunch and laugh last 2 weeks ago, I think, or maybe it was a month or so ago. We did one of our teammates taught everyone who wanted to learn how to whistle. People who, it's always optional, right? Fun is optional.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? I've always wanted to learn how to whistle with my fingers so I can whistle loudly. So I went to the lunch and laugh. We laughed our asses off for half an hour while we were eating lunch, and Max is teaching us how to whistle. A couple weeks later, Kat taught everyone how to fold a fitted sheet. It was a lunch and laugh.
Oh my gosh, I want to learn how to do that.
I mean, it's just silly fun, right? It just get creative, have some fun. Hire experts like Jam to come in, or there's loads of experts out there who can come and take care of it, because that's the other, what often happens, which can be problematic, is we dump it on our HR team to come up with ideas. And then the
Right.
HR team or the culture team, they get stuck planning everything, and then they don't get to play because they're the organizers. So it's important to also get some outside help so that everyone can play and connect and have some laughs. But some other ideas, gosh, you can have health challenges, contests where, it's honor system, and you track, maybe it's a walking group or a running group, or it's, plank challenges. We've done plank challenges before virtually. We also do a book club every 2 months. Like, I believe that reading is playing and learning, right, at the same time. I mean, I don't know about you, but I used to sit outside at recess sometimes. If I was reading a good book, that was my playtime. I just would get into my book. And so for me, book club is a lovely way to engage with my team remotely. We pick a book every couple months, and it's picked by democracy. So I'll throw out three books, do a quick survey, whichever book wins the vote. We then read the book, and we pay for the book. Whoever comes to book club, their book is paid for, and we eat over lunchtime. We sit, and some people are in the office in the boardroom, and other people are calling in from wherever they're living or working. So it can be a hybrid format, and we discuss the book for an hour, and it's really engaging because you learn by hearing other people's perspectives. Again, I always moderate, and I make sure every single voice in the room is heard. So whether you're a junior intern or you're in the C-suite, you're going to have a chance to share your voice and your opinion on the book and your learnings. So it's really there's so many ways, Laura. And in my book, there's an appendix that has tons of different ideas for integrating play in the workplace and making your workplace culture a little more fun and engaging.
And I love that it's more than just, I think everyone thinks about play and they think like the ping pong tables and the foosball tables, and those are great too, but I think it's those other moments, and it's not just, I like that you talk about playful and not just play, because those are they're two different things in a way, right? You can have a playful interaction, but play a lot of people and getting work done. But I think a lot of people associate play with like, we're playing a game, we're going, like kayaking, or we're playing volleyball.
Totally. We're pausing to do an event. Like, And that's kind of the message I'm trying to make sure people are hearing, is that it's not about stopping the work. It's about integrating play into your work and doing both, right? It is problematic, I find, when a company thinks they throw a big, massive event once a year, and they think, oh, we're so great. We have a great culture because we do this big event once a year. Well,
once a year.
That doesn't really cut. That's not really going to make a great workplace culture. And other organizations that have the ping pong table that's collecting dust, that's virtue signaling. Like, you're trying to show that you're super fun and playful because you have a ping pong table. If it doesn't get used, what's the point, right? So that's where we're constantly using our ping pong table at the office. Or, there was something else I was going to say. I just skipped my brain. Anyway, I'm sure it'll come back to me. But there are so many ways to integrate playfulness and fun in the workplace, for sure.
Yeah, I think my first, probably the one job that I had the most playful experience. And I won't forget it, because we did have we had a foosball table, and we had kind of like a game room, a dart room, and it was used throughout the day. Like, it was actually used.
Awesome. Yeah.
But they brought in lunch every day. And so we actually ate as a company together every day. Like a hot lunch, and like salads and like delicious food, healthy food. There was a fruit basket, like two times a week. They'd bring in like so there was fresh fruits, there was delicious food, lunches, coffee and tea and whatever. And then every Friday we would, and I think this was more organized by the staff, but we would kind of stop a little bit early. We'd have some drinks. We'd order in pizza, and we'd kind of, sometimes it would go quite late in the night and somebody would bring a guitar and I created such deep friendships with my colleagues. We went and we did a bike ride where we were raising money for something, and a whole group of them. And then we came back and had lunch together, and we would do these events, but it wasn't just it was sort of throughout the day. It was very consistent. And I never had a workplace where I made so many friends, and to the fact that 20 plus years later, I'm still friends with some of the people I worked with. I don't think I could ever say that about any other place I had worked.
And when you have friends at work, you don't want to leave. Or if you do leave, which we've had two employees in the last couple of years leave during the pandemic for better career opportunities, more money, and came back because there was no culture, there were no friendships in their offices. Sandeep and Taylor both left and came back after 6 to 8 months because they were miserable, where they're working in a place where they were making more money, but they said no one cared about me as a friend. And I mean, that's a testament to the culture at JAM, that we like to have friends. We like people to be friends with each other. It's fun to work with people you care about. And to your lunch point, I love that. And I just want to make sure people know there's a much more affordable way. Not everyone can afford to bring lunch in every day, right? That adds a big cost. So
for sure.
When I first started my business in 1996, or I guess the first employee I ever hired in 1997, they were coming into my house and working with me. And I said, let's take turns. We're both going to the kitchen making lunch. Why don't we take turns making lunch for each other? So we started that. As we grew, we were in our office. We had a lunchroom in our office. We were up to about 10 people. And what would happen is you had a full week where you made lunch for everyone. For the full week, you'd make lunch for 10 people. But then you had 9 weeks off, and you'd be sitting at your desk working, and you'd hear, lunch is ready. And everyone would get up and go to the lunchroom. Now, we're about 40 full-time employees now, and everyone has different, dietary, and some people are working remotely. But what has always stayed is the idea that we get up from our desks and we eat lunch together. We break bread together, just like a family meal. It's such an easy, it doesn't have to cost anything. Just get up and eat lunch together. And you can do that virtually too. We hop on. So once a week, we sort of have a lunch and laugh, whether there's actually something funny happening or it's just banter, connecting. But people who are virtual will call in and sit kind of effectively. There's a computer at the lunch table in the office. So people are chatting and engaging with each other, and it doesn't have to cost anything. Just breaking bread. The thing that I was going to mention that came back to me is something that a lot of companies are doing that are now working remotely. Many companies are working remotely, but tend to have hubs where, of cities that are hubs, but they don't have an office. So what's really powerful, you mentioned volleyball teams or kickball team, a softball team. So maybe you're not seeing each other in the office every day, but imagine having an adult rec sports team playing basketball or volleyball or soccer or softball or kickball or dodgeball, whatever sport it is, or in all sorts of sports league where you play a different sport every week. You get your team, you sign up your company team, you make it optional. People can join the team. You give them your company jersey, so your brand is out there on the kickball field or the softball field. And those people that don't see each other in the office every day are getting physically healthy and mentally healthy by connecting in person, playing a sport together that the company pays for. And there are adult rec sports leagues in every city across North America. It doesn't matter where you live. I mean, our JAM leagues are in 15 different cities, but there are adult rec sports leagues like ours in every city. So it can be very easily done, very affordably, and it's incredibly powerful to do that. The other idea a lot of companies are doing, maybe play comes in so many forms. You mentioned sometimes a guitar would come out. I've heard about the companies having company choir or company rock bands. So they get together, they come into the office once every 2 weeks, and they have a rock band rehearsal, and then they put on a performance for their company. So play, have a euchre tournament, have puzzles in the office. Play can come in so many different forms. And can be just the friendships that foster from playing together, whether it's while you're working or while you're taking a recess break. You know, there are many ways to play and strengthen friendships and create and improve the culture of the workplace, which really improves the bottom line for the company.
Absolutely. I love that. I mean, I just think about even with our kids, like, family dinners are kind of a sacred time for us. And when I think about the conversations we have, the laughs we have, the depth and like the range of things, like it feels like that's when you really get to know people. Like when you break bread together, that's like the things you can get into. It's magical.
It doesn't, you don't need to pay for people to eat together, right?
No,
like that's
exactly.
lovely. I mean, and sometimes having a potluck is also really fun. Some people do a once a week potluck lunch, right? But every day people can sit and eat lunch together, whether they brought their own lunch or they ran out to grab something. Like and it also should always be optional. Forced fun is never fun, right? So it's like the worst. So don't force fun on anyone, but put it out there like, hey, let's get up from our desks. Studies have also shown that when you get up from your desk and you take a break, you're actually way more productive when you go back afterwards.
Yeah.
So so many reasons to connect and have some laughs and play and get to know your coworkers as friends. Incredibly powerful.
Yeah. And play is not just for kids, and we don't have a lot of time left, but I wanted to just ask you this. What do you think happens between sort of childhood and adulthood that kind of like the fun and the play just kind of slowly or quickly just kind of leaves us and we forget how to have fun and we forget how to play? Is there something that you're like, this is what happens, or what do you see is that transition? And is there a way that we can capture that back easily or not lose it in the first place?
I mean, I don't know the science behind that or why so all of a sudden we start to get a little more serious. I mean, responsibilities become, right? If you think about when you're a child, when you look at a kid playing my daughter and I were watching a child playing on the beach the other night, and you could just tell that child was in the moment, didn't have any other worries, right? And that's, I think, the real life aspect is we start to get other responsibilities. We have a test we have to study for. We have a project that's due. All of a sudden we're working and we have to deliver, and real life does come in. I think what's often overlooked is people forget that when you're sitting down, like when I sit down to play my guitar, which I only started playing guitar in my 40s. I mean, I was late to it, but I'm like, I want to learn to play guitar. I'm playing when I play guitar, and I get into a flow state, and it's very meditative, and all I can do is be in the moment, right? It's like going to a yoga class. You're very much in the moment. You get into a flow, whether you're playing a soccer game, you're playing a game of cards or a board game, you're playing music, doing a puzzle, like again, whatever, throwing the ball with a friend, you're in the moment. And that's where I think we have to remember that even like we actually play more than we realize probably as we're adults. We just don't think of it necessarily as play, like playing guitar, right? So I think it's just important to remember that we are. And George Bernard Shaw said, let me see, I got to get this right. He said, we don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. So my message to people is keep playing. Always keep playing.
Ooh, that feels like a beautiful place to wrap this up. Thank you so much for being here. How can people connect with you? Is there any way, anything you want to share with the audience here?
Yeah, absolutely. My website is kristiherold.com, KristiHerold.com, and my book is there. It can be on it pays to play, is available on Amazon. And if people would love, I'd love, Laura, to give for your listeners a copy of my playbook PDF. It's the 10 ways to integrate play into the workplace. If they go to kristiherold.com/livewithlaurajam25, that's where they can get a copy of the playbook for free. And inside the playbook is a 25% discount savings for them if they'd like to try a jam event with their team or sign up for a jam sports team. We'd be happy to provide 25% savings. So that's at kristiherold.com/livewithlaurajam25.
Amazing. I have shared that in the comments in the various places this is streaming. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing that. I'm absolutely going to download my copy of that as well to see how I can work on integrating play better in my work and with my team. And I think we can always add more fun and play in our life and
Life's
in
too
our work.
short not to, right? Too short
Life
not to.
is too short not to play. Amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Kristi.
Thanks for having me, Laura. Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.